could now be months before Milwaukee County Judge Hannah Dugan faces trial. Dugan is accused of helping an undocumented immigrant evade immigration officials.
So by now, the whole country knows who Judge Hannah Dugan is. I mean, she was arrested by the FBI for helping an illegal immigrant evade ICE.
The Supreme Court of Wisconsin issued this notice Tuesday, suspending Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan.
Now, Judge Hannah Dugan was suspended as a judge back in April. However, she's still being paid as a judge. So we're going to dig into all of this because lawmakers in Wisconsin are not happy about this. Now, before we start the video, make sure to please like the video. It's the #1 way you guys are helping this channel, but it also helps others see the videos as well. And whenever we talk about Judge Hannah Dugan, you guys do an awesome job by helping me out. Thank you so much. Here we go.
In the order, the Supreme Court wrote in part, it is in the public interest that she be temporarily relieved of her official duties. UWM Professor Emeritus Mordecai Lee says the Supreme Court is using its governing power over the judicial branch.
I think we're all sort of surprised by this because we're not used to these kinds of unusual cases.
Okay, I think the majority of America will agree we are not used to seeing anything like this, which is why the entire case is still at a standstill. We'll get to that later, but let's talk about Judge Hannah Dugan still being paid. Now remember, she was suspended all the way back in April by the Wisconsin Supreme Court, and wait until you hear how many judges have ever been suspended by the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Now, Republican lawmakers, and I can't find any evidence where any Democrats are joining in with Republican lawmakers in Wisconsin, they are talking about a bill that will never allow for suspended judges to be paid. Now, the big question I know you all have, how much is Judge Hannah Dugan currently being paid while she's suspended as a judge? $175,000. As far as the monthly allowance, that's about $14,583 a month to be suspended as a judge because she was arrested by the FBI for potentially helping an illegal immigrant walk out a back door and evade ICE.
Tonight, her powerhouse legal team preparing for the potential for a high-profile trial in the national spotlight, but first tonight continuing to push for the entire case to be dismissed.
Now, this entire court case is still at a standstill. Before we get to that, how many judges have ever been suspended by the Supreme Court of Wisconsin? 15 judges. That's from 1978 to 2024, which means, statistically speaking, this is not a high number, and that's the argument Republican lawmakers are making. Look, this is not a high number, this is not common. When the Supreme Court has to say you are suspended as a judge, maybe it's in the favor of the people of Wisconsin to not have to pay for a judge who's currently not working as a judge.
The Supreme Court of Wisconsin issued this notice Tuesday, suspending Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan indefinitely. In the order, the Supreme Court wrote in part, it is in the public interest that she be temporarily relieved of her official duties.
What's interesting is even in that court order, they use the wording, it would be in the public interest. And again, this is an argument Republican lawmakers are making. It would also be in the interest for the taxpayers to not have to pay for Judge Hannah Dugan to be a judge while suspended. Now, before we continue, make sure to please subscribe to my channel so I can give you guys more updates on the Judge Hannah Dugan case. For those of you that have been around from the very beginning, we've literally been covering this case on the day she was arrested. So thank you so much.
While this does not happen often, it did happen before the Wisconsin Supreme Court revoked the license of a former Milwaukee County judge, Brett Blumey, who was sentenced in federal court for distributing child pornography. Mary?
I actually want to give some credit to the Wisconsin Supreme Court because the standard is very high for you to be suspended as a judge in their judicial system. Now, this is also very important as far as context. The reason why all of a sudden we are talking about possibly suspending the pay, although this looks a little politically motivated, we have to remember we are literally at a standstill. This is a situation we've never seen before where the judge who's overseeing this case just doesn't know what to do. And I'm not saying this in a bad way. He literally doesn't know what to do because there's been no other court case like this. So he has no court cases to compare this one to continue with the court date, because we still don't have a court date for Judge Hannah Dugan.
Hands off Dugan! Hands off Dugan!
A group of Milwaukee faith leaders gathering outside the federal courthouse in Milwaukee today,
to demand that the charges against her be dropped.
as inside federal prosecutors and attorneys from Milwaukee County Judge Hannah Dugan met briefly with U.S. District Judge Lynn Edelman, days after a federal magistrate judge recommended Dugan's case move forward. Her thoughts on the magistrate judge's ruling?
Yes, she's disappointed as well, and she has faith that Judge Edelman will come to a different conclusion.
Now, here's what's very interesting about the Judge Hannah Dugan case. Outside of the current judge who's in charge of this case, you have the Supreme Court of Wisconsin already suspending Judge Hannah Dugan, which is already not a common practice. You also have a judge magistrate who doesn't have total authority over this case. However, they are highly influential. The judge magistrate overseeing this case said, look, this court case should proceed. That is what I have to say about this case. So the point I'm trying to make is, as this court case is at a standstill, it looks like the outside powers within the judicial branches of the Wisconsin court, it looks like they are notioning, Judge Hannah Dugan should be suspended, and also this court case needs to continue, yet we are still at a standstill.
Can you give a little hint at the defense, what your defense will be and what you will present that you haven't already in the documents?
Yeah, we can't share everything, of course, at this time, but the things that Judge Dugan did are not at all anything unusual. As we've seen on those videos that you already have, the defendant in this case went down the hall. It's actually 11 feet and I believe 8 inches outside of the main entrance to 2 federal agents who are watching and ready to arrest him.
The FBI arresting Dugan a week later.
And again, according to the Judge Hannah Dugan team, Judge Hannah Dugan is a judge, and she shouldn't have to go through this because as a judge, she is in charge of the courthouse, which includes the hallway, even though when you do research into the matter, a hallway is typically open to the public, which is why Homeland Security was operating in the public hallway, and why we see Homeland Security always in courthouse hallways conducting these arrests. Whether or not you agree with it, that's not really the point. We're talking about legal matters here, so if Judge Hannah Dugan wins this case, that means a judge will have total authority in public hallways, which means a judge can remove ICE agents from a public hallway.
First, U.S. District Judge Lynn Edelman will decide on this motion to dismiss, whether to dismiss this case altogether. The defense pushing for that. We learned today that decision will now not likely come until August. If he orders a trial tonight, both the defense and federal prosecutors are hoping it begins before the end of the year.
As I make this video, it's July 15th. Her court case was supposed to be on July 21st. Now there's just no date. It's just open to whenever it might be. Again, this is because, first and foremost, the judge overseeing this case will literally change the course of history based off of whatever decision he makes. If he says no court case, every judge in America can do what Judge Hannah Dugan did, because that will now fall under what a judge can do and what they're protected by. If he says yes to the court case, this means that Homeland Security definitely has a way stronger argument to be in public hallways throughout the United States and conduct their arrests.
Understandable, but obviously we're ready to go.
Dugan's legal team wants the case dismissed, claiming the actions Dugan took as a judge are protected.
I think that the government is really trying to criminalize things that might have been said in the courtroom. And at the end of the day, you've all seen the video. This gentleman walked right by one of the agents who was in the hallway, and nothing happened.
Okay, so I want to apologize because I actually overlooked what the defense team is arguing here. Basically, it looks like the implication is, you can see in the footage, and we'll look into it and I'll let you guys decide, it looks like in the footage the illegal immigrant walked right past the ICE agent and nothing happened. Thus, how could you argue there was any sort of evasion? So let's go ahead and revisit the tape and I'll let you guys decide how you feel.
He meets his attorney in the hallway and walks towards Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan's courtroom. Along the way, he passes plainclothes federal agents who are sitting on a bench. They are there to detain him. After Flores-Ruiz walks by, the agents turn to each other and appear to confirm his identity amongst themselves.
Okay, so I have to point this out. First things first, Eduardo was actually found guilty for what he did and is now being deported, but that's besides the point. Number two, these agents allowed for Eduardo to walk past them in the hallway to begin with, and to also go to the courtroom and conduct the court procedures. Now, there is a reason for it. We'll get to that later, but let's continue.
But a few moments later, Judge Dugan and another judge approached the agents sitting on the bench. A criminal complaint against Dugan later said she was alerted to their presence by a court official. That complaint says during this interaction, Dugan and the agents disagreed over the type of warrant they had to arrest Flores-Ruiz. According to the complaint, Dugan ordered the agents to go to the chief judge's office. Video shows her pointing them through a double door.
Now remember, according to Judge Hannah Dugan's defense team, all of this falls under official acts. Everything you're seeing here, Judge Hannah Dugan should not be prosecuted for.
She then turns back to speak with other agents further down the hall and orders them through the doors as well. Shortly after that, with the agents gone from the hallway, Eduardo Flores-Ruiz and his attorney exit into the hallway through a different door. As they walk down the hall toward the elevators, they pass another plainclothes federal agent. Neither they nor Judge Dugan seem to have noticed at the time. That agent motions to another to follow Flores-Ruiz.
And again, the argument from the defense team...
Understandable, but obviously we're ready to go.
Dugan's legal team wants the case dismissed, claiming the actions Dugan took as a judge are protected.
I think that the government is really trying to criminalize things that might have been said in the courtroom. And at the end of the day, you've all seen the video. This gentleman walked right by one of the agents who was in the hallway, and nothing happened.
Now here's the thing, as we know, context matters, and in this isolated clip, of course it looks like Eduardo is simply walking past the federal agent and all is good to go. However, I highly suspect that the prosecution will simply play the rest of the tape.
Security video shows Flores-Ruiz exiting through a basement exit. Upstairs on the 6th floor, the other agents have left the chief judge's office and worked their way downstairs. Flores-Ruiz left the building onto 9th Street. Videos of the street shows the agents catching up to him. Flores-Ruiz runs across 10th Street while trying to get away, but the agents catch him and arrest him.
So again, the timing of all of these events seems to be what's put in play here by the DOJ and the prosecution. That all of a sudden, as soon as the ICE agents left the courtroom hallway, now you have Eduardo walking through the back door. Even though he was allowed to walk right past these federal agents, you saw intent from Eduardo. I mean, he fled the scene, ran away, and it's being reported that somebody was almost hit by a car. So again, putting all of this together, that seems to be what the main argument is from the prosecution.
Her team wants the case dismissed, saying whatever happened in the courtroom falls under judicial immunity.
Based on the motion that we filed and all of the case law, that she is immune from this prosecution, that it shouldn't have even been brought in the first place. So obviously that does have to get resolved.
In documents, federal prosecutors push back, saying the motion is an unprecedented dismissal on grounds of judicial immunity, ignoring well-established law. They argue Dugan's desired ruling would, in essence, say that judges are above the law.
So make sure to please leave your comments down below how you feel about Judge Hannah Dugan and her defense team and what they're really trying to say here. That everything Judge Hannah Dugan did, and they're saying everything she did on tape, on footage, we've all seen it according to their own words, they're all saying Judge Hannah Dugan should be held immune and this court case needs to be dropped. However, something else I do want to mention, there seems to be quite a divide, even with the news reporting, as far as what a judge can do and not do. You hear people talking about the courthouse, the courtroom, and the hallway. Even as I do research into this matter, vaguely and broadly speaking, a judge has pretty large jurisdiction within the entire courthouse, definitely inside the courtroom, but when it comes to the hallway, I've seen a lot of comments in my own YouTube section where people are saying a sheriff actually has the jurisdiction of who can come into the hallway and who can't. They're in charge of security. Yet, when you look at other cases around the United United States, you see Homeland Security just openly walking in these hallways. They are confronted with protesters, but still, they're allowed to be there just like everyone else. So that's just something to think about. Anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, this has been quite a roller coaster, so make sure to please subscribe to my channel so I can give you guys more updates on the Judge Hannah Dugan case. I suspect more and more people will be covering this story as soon as we actually get a court date. Because again, if Judge Hannah Dugan wins this court case, that's going to be historical. That's going to be massive. That'll change everything what a judge can do in their own courthouse. Thank you guys for being here. God bless, and we'll see you all later.